Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about the power of PR and networking, community building, volunteerism, and so much more. That's why we're honored to have with us Deborah Varallo. She's the president of Varallo Public Relations. How are you doing?
Great. And how nice to be here with you guys. I appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Well, you do so much good in the community with your volunteerism, your leadership, and obviously a ton when it comes to helping in the world of PR. So let's start out on the business side. Give us a little background and what led you to launch your business.
Well, I was mainly in sales beforehand, and we decided many years ago that a group of women wanted to build the first female-built habitat house in the world. And so what we did is we decided that we'd coordinate it, and we went to Reba McEntire. She underwrote the initial cost for us, and we did this. And I went in to help build a house. And during the realm of it, I was in sales, but during the realm of it, they said, we have to let the media know. We have to let the TV people know. We have to let the print people know. We have to let the radio people know. And they said, Deb, you can talk a lot. We want you to talk with these people. So I was out there pushing, promoting, letting people know we're going to do this all-female built house. And when it was all said and done, we ended up doing another one later, but when the first one was said and done, I went, wow, I like reaching out to the community like this. And that was when I said, this is what I want to do. It was PR, and this is what I want to do. And I went to PR firms, and they were like, you have no communication degree. I had an education degree from Baylor University. You don't have a communications, you don't have English, you don't have journalism, you don't have marketing, you don't have anything that we can hire you with. No. So I got those no's a lot. And then I went, this can't be that hard. So I just studied. I went and took more classes. I made sure that I understood what had to be done for people to get news so the good news can happen. And that's how it started. I mean, it was just because I did volunteer work.
I love it. Well, it also ties into when we talk about networking, you know firsthand the power of relationship building.
Yes.
And so let's go back and say one, sick 'em bears. That's good. I like the Baylor University ties, so that's nice. And then two, talk about what industries you serve. Give us a little bit of the background on the business side.
Well, because I come from a professional background and I was always involved with corporate world is in sales, I ended up going into selling and marketing for architects, engineers, contractors, attorneys, healthcare companies, and so for nonprofits, because I did so much volunteer work with nonprofits. And the reason I ended up doing so much now with attorneys is I was doing a program for Leadership Nashville that is a Jeopardy business program, educating the people in Nashville and Leadership Nashville about the great nonprofits, for-profits, government entities that exist. And then the Tennessee Bar people saw me doing that, the lawyers group, and they said, can you do that for our statewide leadership group? So I started doing that for them, all free, no charge. That's how I started building these relationships with all these attorneys and law firms. And that's how that started. So I ended up being it. And then I got with the engineers group and the Association American Council of Engineering Companies. I've been involved with them, and now I speak at their state conference every year, and I do it on networking, or I love this, effective emails. I do it in crisis management. I do it in marketing. I do it in networking. And so I've just learned so much and met so many people through the years. And the chamber now doesn't hire me. It's free. I now go in for Intro Nashville, and I'm their opening speaker each time, so that I can loosen them up, get them to understand the importance of meeting fellow class members, following up, reaching out. So that's what I do a lot of. And then business just kind of comes our way. So we're very lucky.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into the networking, because there's so much to unpack there, and, all the wisdom and tips and such. And so when you talk about networking and the power of relationship building, and this plays in with all the volunteerism and everything that you're talking about, putting yourself out there. And we always talk about on our end, when you talk about volunteerism, you're with others who care about the community, they care about others, they're going to care about you. By serving together, you build powerful relationships that do carry over into, hey, what do you do? How
Right.
can you help us on the business side? So I think volunteerism and serving with nonprofits is a powerful way professionally to build career opportunities. But where do you like to start when you talk about networking?
Well, gosh, that's endless in one sense. But when I have clients who want us to talk about networking, I want to find out, what do they want? What do they want to get out of it? Who are their customers? Where do they want to end up with? Because what one company needs or one individual needs is definitely not what the other one needs. So I will make sure we have a better understanding of it. And when people want to volunteer, it's like, okay, you want to volunteer. What are you passionate about? Because if you're not going to be passionate about it, you're not going to participate. You'll sign up and you won't be any good at it, and people think you're horrible. So you have to be passionate about it so that you show up, you'll be there, you build relationships, you build contact with people you never would have known otherwise. I think I've learned more and gotten better contacts through, I know I have, through my nonprofit work, by the work they've seen us do that we've done free, by the presentations we've done free, by the people we've connected in our leadership. That's what's going to let people come to you and say, I see you doing this. I want you to do that for us. So that's how that happens in networking. I have to kid about a lot of things because I'm a believer of business cards, and you have to have them. And I have young people who say, oh, but I have this app. And this app is wonderful. And so I was speaking at a state conference and 600 people, and I was telling them the importance of their business cards. And right after the presentation, and this was right after COVID, so a lot of them were still wearing masks. Right after the presentation, a young engineer came up to me and said, you don't need business cards. You can do QArmy. And I said, what is QArmy? And he told me the electronic. Now there's Link and there's Dot and there's everything else you can imagine. Hello, which is nice, but there's no relationship with it, because you meet someone and you zap them and zap them and zap them. And usually there's a lot of different ways you can zap them. And then you forget they even existed. They're gone. But I discovered what it was all about. And I wanted to thank this wonderful young engineer, but he went into my 30,000 person database, and I can't tell you who he was. I can't remember his name. I met a lot of people during the conference. But the other way that it works, because it works, I believe in it, but it has to work a certain way, is I was talking to Burke Nahill, the CEO for the Titans, and we were talking about a project. And Burke said, well, Deb, I'll send you the information, or you can send me it. I said, Burke, I don't have all your information. He goes, oh, hey, I have QArmy. So we exchanged, but what we really did is we updated our contact information. So I now had a cell phone. I now had everything I needed for him. But if you were just zapping people, you are not conversing, getting a relationship, and you're forgetting who the heck they were. And I can't tell you the last 10 people who zapped me with their special Link, Dot, whatever they had. I don't have any idea who they are. Nothing. So I like the business card so I can take it back, look at it. Where did I meet them? What is something I know about them? And I always say, if you have more than 3 business cards at an event, you did not really meet the people. You have to talk to the people to know what's going on.
There's a lot of knowledge you just dropped. One is, I think when you talk about, well, let's go back. The volunteerism piece can work for you or against you. Just like you said, if your heart's not in it, people will see that, and that becomes a detriment, right? So you've got to be passionate, you got to show up, you got to be, participating and active. 2 is the business cards. People, like physically to write on them and to remember, when they get home at night or whatever after the event, they know proximity, like, okay, the reference point. Like you said, if you just dump into a database on your phone, you don't know from the 30,000 people who is who. But to your point, when you already have a relationship, then that's a whole different story. It's not transactional, it's a relationship. And now you deepen what was already there, the personal relationship, the connection. And so I think those are really important, because just like, all the phrases, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's not, who you know, it's who knows you and who trusts you. Like there's all these phrases, but it comes back to trust. Who trusts you and will give you an opportunity, just like, hey, this is exactly how you started your business. Hey, we need help with this. We trust you. You go. And next thing you know, you're on a whole new trajectory. And so give us one or two more tips when you talk about the power of networking. And like you said, it's a little different for every business, but one or two other major tips you like to give.
Well, let me just say first, when you said trust, I always say it's a three-prong for know, like, trust. So you have to know them. You have to find out you like them. You have to trust them. I always say it's three-pronged. That's why it takes a while to build a relationship. One thing I laugh about, I spoke at a group a while back ago, and I'd gone around and met people before I went and spoke. So I kind of had an idea of the audience. When I was up there, I asked for everyone to stand up, and they all stood up, and I said, okay, anyone who is here by themselves and you're not next to someone that is your colleague, sit down. Well, half the room sat down. The other half stayed standing because they came to a networking event, yet there were 5 people from the same company sitting at the same table. How are you going to network? What are you going to do? And so I always say, that's great, but you've got to go meet somebody else so you can call it networking. Instead of a net sitting, please network. So I want them to get around and to greet people and to meet people. I was at an event the other day, and it was the person wanted to meet more people, and she sat down and she said, sit here. I said, no, I'm sitting one over from you. And she goes, why? And I went, you need to meet the person to your left. You need to meet the person to your right. We already know each other. We'll talk about it afterwards. So it's part of where you're going to sit. You have to be purposeful in where you decide to sit. Don't get comfortable. And that's what too many people do, is they walk in with somebody, they stay with somebody, and they're not going to meet. Sometimes you need them to introduce you to other people, but usually it's just their crutch. That's all they're doing with it. Another thing is, I always say collect ahas. Collect as many ahas as. That is, you ask questions and then you go, ah. So you will not gain any knowledge unless you're asking the questions and finding out, what is that person all about? And it's as easy as saying, so since very few people are from Nashville these days, all right, what brought you to Nashville? Why are you here? And you find out about their business or their industry, or did they come with the family? Did they come with the spouse? Then you start talking, you get personal, what they care, because you care about who they are. That's part of it. You have to ask questions and collect ahas.
There really is a lot of strategy when you talk about networking. Sometimes networking gets a negative connotation, but the reality is that's how opportunities in life happen. And so when you look at it and you take it strategically, there are some really powerful opportunities to connect, just like you're talking about, at a very deep level. And so having the aha moments and asking questions, getting to know them and what, fuels their fire, what they're passionate about, what they care about, what organizations they volunteer with, why they moved to Nashville, like all of those are important pieces of the puzzle. But it's even down to, like you said, not being together as a group that works together, divide and have, an intention, and also even how you stand at events instead of closed, being open to invite others in. And so when you start really getting into the science of networking, it really is something that will open up a lot of eyes. And I think it obviously opens up a lot of opportunities then for your future, personally, professionally, and beyond. And so when you look at the world of PR, going back to the business side on your end, what's one or two trend that has your attention? Because obviously the world of PR is ever changing. So what's one or two things that really have your attention right now in terms of the trends in the world of PR?
I think the trends is you've got to get back out to see people. And I noticed that after COVID, lots of clients, because I deal with so many attorneys and architects, and they'd say, we've got to get our attorneys back out there. Because they got very comfortable, and that's everyone. They got very comfortable and sitting behind the screen and talking to people. It's made life easier, but it's also eliminated the relationships is what it used to be. So it's a matter of encouraging people to get back out there and go to events. One thing is they can't just go to lots of events. They have to look at where would be some of the best events that I can attend. And I'm involved with a lot of different groups around Middle Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, Leadership Music. That's an area I'm not involved with, but I have built such great relationships that if my clients need contacts, I have that there. So the trends are trying to get people out there and get them comfortable. Too many people are RSVP and they're going to be there and they don't show up because they think that's okay. So that's one of the trends I'm seeing. The other trend is people are hopping around too much in the sense of when they're at events. That's why I say only collect 3 business cards. Have time to spend and meet the person and know what's going on. And then you feel like this morning, I went to an event last night in Williamson County. I went to 2 events, but I went to one where it was a chance to meet other people. I came back, I had 2 business cards. This morning, I put the information in my database. One was already there. I'd met him 7 years ago because he was in my database and it said where I met him. And then I put like another Tony, guess what? Yes, we did already meet and this is where we met. And then another person, I said, it is really so nice to meet you at the event. I'm excited. So it's building just the relationships, but you have to determine who's your contact. Who do you want to see? What's the industry you want to be in? But people have to know you, they have to like you, and then trust you before that happens.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you're taking the notes because, you're going to forget. I mean, you forget barely what, or you forget what even happened yesterday. So it's like taking the notes of, okay, this is where I met them. These are some of the things we talked about. Having that so you can go back and reference that is really important. And so all of that comes down to intentionality, being intentional with your efforts, just
Yes.
like in anything. So yeah, I love it. We'll wrap up with where we can go to carry this conversation forward because you speak a lot, obviously, and you're out there constantly putting out, these sort of, tips and tricks and recommendations. And so where can we go to learn more about the business and to follow you?
May I share one more story with you?
Sure.
Is that okay? I'll be fast. When my daughter was 3 years old and I was working on my computer and she came into my office and I'm just typing away. And my daughter is 3 and she goes, Mom, I want to talk to you. And I'm a good mom, nodding. And she goes, Mom, I want to talk to you. And I said, yes, honey. She then grabs my face with her little hands, turns my face to her face and says, Mom, listen with your eyes. Listen with your eyes. That's what I tell people all the time. If you listen with your eyes, you see people, you see their expression, you know what's going on, and you remember more, and you're in the conversation. So that's what I want to tell people all the time. How can they reach me? VaralloPR.com. I love meeting new people. I try to get to different events so I can find out what is going on in Middle Tennessee. I talk about going to the Interdenominational Ministry Fellowship that is a Black ministry group. I'm not Black, I'm not a minister, but I'm a member, and I go to understand what's happening in the community. It's important you meet as many different people as possible to make you a better person.
Absolutely. So the website spelled out VARALLOPR.com.
Yes.
So best place to go. Well, Deb,
Yes. And you can find me on social media.
Yeah, all over the place. Well, Deb, thank you for all you do to power the good. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Jeremy, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.